Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining me this morning to have a look at our graphical scheduler. We'll keep this very, very brief and high level. So if you want to talk about that more in detail, you're more than welcome to. But hopefully that will give you a good understanding what the graphical scheduler actually can do and how it can assist you. So my name is Juuso Santti. I look after the Cim200 product here at Sim Software, and I'm always happy to give demonstrations and go more in detail in any aspect of the software. So how we will structure this brief half an hour demonstration and Q&A is that firstly give a little bit of an introduction and talk about what the graphical scheduler will give you, how it will be placed on your system, and some of the functionality which we will demonstrate to you as well. At the end, hopefully we will have a few moments for any questions and room for any feedback. So it is going to be brief, about half an hour. I will jump straight on it without too much faffing about. So, firstly, the graphical scheduler, how it came about is it's always been the number one most wished modules for manufacturing, but there has been too many objections and too many obstacles on the way that we haven't been able to provide that to our customers. If you had a solution that gave you the good functionality and enough and broad enough functionality set, the solutions were too costly. So the cost was prohibitive for deployments, or if there were at a good price point, they didn't offer enough complexity to actually manage your soft floor and your operations and manufacturing solutions. So in September 2023, we launched our fully integrated Cim200 scheduler, which is now part of the product. So some of the benefits what graphical scheduler can give you is that you will have a complete overview of your shop floor, whether you are going to be late, what is needing to be dispatched, what is needing to be sent to the subcontractors, what's the progress status of the operations in itself, if you have any conflicts and overloads in any of the areas. So it can help you to predict in the future and overcome any imbalances in the loading of the shop floor operations. And it also allows you to fine-tune production by going down to the 5-second intervals in terms of a scheduling, or you can go as broadly as annual scheduling, so, and anything in between. So there is it serves wide range of operations. How it is deployed is that it is a browser based, so it can be web enabled. You can access it from anywhere if it's been set up correctly, and is what I would like to think is a very easy to use interface that can be used by multiple users at the same time, and is device agnostic, so you don't need to buy any extra hardware for it because it's run on the browser. You can use any device that can have access to a modern browser. It is also fully integrated with Cim200 planning and works order modules, and all the data is held within the database. So there's no external holding of data anywhere. So that gives the level of security for you. In terms of where it is part of. It is part of any Cim200 solutions that has been installed since October 2023, but previous to that, it wasn't part of a Sim. Well, that's when we launched it, really. So that any installs prior to that, it would become an optional extra. It is also fully configured. We'll have a look at the basic configurations in Sage 200, but if you control it from within the client itself. So there's no extra admin as such to maintain the settings and so forth. So some of the key functionality is, as I mentioned before, is it looks at any of the resource conflicts. So if you have a machine that can only run through one operation at a time, it will highlight you if you have two jobs going through that one machine, or if you have a team of employees working on a set number of hours, it will tell you if you can't get overloaded on those. And it is very, very clearly represented by the color coding of color coding within the scheduler, which you will see very shortly. It also tells you how utilized the resources are when you are moving forward. And there can be links to the sub-assemblies as well as now MRP recommendations. So you can schedule your MRP recommendations before you are actually actioning it. So that is quite nice. And you can group, search, and filter in multiple ways. For instance, you can group all the works orders relating to the sales orders for a particular customer or particular sales order within the scheduler itself. But we can look into that in a moment. And you can have viewed the works order and operation details. You can log works orders. You can even log the MRP now because you can schedule the MRP recommendations, and you have multi-site functionality. So if you have multiple warehouses, multiple locations, you can actually filter the scheduler to display only your site, or you can view everything overall if that's what is required. So there's quite a lot of options there for you. Also, we are not just leaving it as it is now. We are looking in for the future. Today, I'm doing a little bit of risky thing because I'm introducing some functionality that we haven't talked about, we haven't seen, and they will only be released in August of the of this year. So this is only about 6 weeks away from release. But we listen to our customer base, and we want to develop the product to suit your your needs in grand scheme of things. So I left a couple of pieces here, which are wish items from our wish list, which we monitor quite carefully, is that they're actually been implemented already into the system. So resource maintenance, downtime, and holidays, you can actually generate ad hoc loading for machines, employees, and such like, and that's now in the system. Also, scheduling MRP recommendations, one of the highest list items for the scheduler is that allow us to schedule MRP recommendations before you actually action them into the production. Also, work to list, which we do now have an enhanced version of that as a workspace. In coming releases, we are listening to your feedback, but some of the items that we would like to think that should be going into the software, but no commitment before we hear the feedback from the end users in itself, is that you can split operations. So you can, if you have a run of 1,000, you could actually split the operation to two lots of 500. Do one 500 on Monday of this week, or and do the rest of it in 2 weeks' time. You can already split the operations within the works order between um uh, and leaving a long gap in between, but at the moment you still can't split the operations, which we are looking into at the moment, and also component backing and the purchase order receipts from the scheduling itself. So if your components are actually going to be late and you cannot start your first operation, or they've been packed onto a certain operation within the works order, if they are going to be late, how do we display that? So there are few things that we would like to bring into the product in the future. Right. So if I run through into a demo and we'll have a look at a couple of things in the Sage before we actually go into the scheduler in itself. So we have a few settings that we have given in or placed into a Cim200 that will drive how the scheduler work. And I'm telling you now what I have set my environment up for is that I'm scheduling machine resources. I could equally schedule labor resources or both, and I'm scheduling subcontract resources as well, and I'm scheduling my MRP recommendations. I have also set up multiple operational calendars. So I have my default calendar, and then I have something set up for Saturday shift, so I can schedule certain resources to only work on a certain day. Let's say you're only dispatching on Wednesday, you might have your there might be an operation for dispatch for or on a Wednesday or Tuesday if you wanted to have a day's grace and have scheduler to schedule your operations to be ready for dispatch on by that day. So you're only doing it for one day a week. I have also set up some maintenance. I have a weekly maintenance for the mornings on the different days of a week for different CNC machines. So I will show you how that will be displayed in Cim200. So I have run the MRP this morning, and I have some recommendations for works orders, which you will see on the scheduler. And I also have some existing works orders in there as well. So if I jump into my scheduler, and this is how it looks like on the first view. So you will have number of operations displayed. And let me open this one up. So it will show you which works orders they actually are. I can also view number of other items from here. As I mentioned before, I could see who the customer is that is linked to. You might have multiple customers. You might have multiple orders linked to that. You might have different due dates. You can filter these. So get asked questions of, oh, I have thousands of works orders in the system. Is going to be messy. But why don't you filter it for a certain period of time? Maybe you are planning for a week, for instance, at the time. You can actually filter this view by that time period, or you can filter it by anything for a customer. So you will see all the orders relating to that one particular customer, all the resources required for that customers to complete those works orders. And there's a fair few things going on just on these few works orders that I can see straight away within the clans. I can see the works orders, I can see what they are, I can see that there is an MRP recommendation for this as well. and when they are due and which sales orders they are relating to. And I can group them by that as well if I wanted to. But if I go and have a look at my view from here, so I can easily resize, and I can zoom in, zoom out as much as I like. I can have a look at the in white mode. I can even go in a dark mode. That can be a little bit easier on the eye, but just keep it on the day mode for now. So straight away from this screen, I can see there are a number of things happening already. I can see my MRP recommendations just have a frame around them. I can see some operations that, well, works orders that will be completed on time according to their timings within the works order and due dates. I can see that some operations with a lock displayed on them, they are locked. I cannot move them from the scheduler. So that's actually a fixed plan now. So I cannot reschedule it from here. I can also see there's a little bit of a darker colored band on that particular operation. And I have another one here. That means that the work's already started. We can see that we have actually already completed half of that particular operation. We can also see what are the predecessors and successors for in order to complete that. I can see I have 3 different items that I will need to complete before I actually do that particular operation, and then it moves on to the packing from here, and all of that links in by you will see the arrows leading on to the uh, top level works order. So I have 3 sub-assemblies. I have a works order 5. I have a works order 4, and I also have a MRP recommendation, which according to MRP actually will be late. But do I mind that? I probably don't, because I can see my top level is on time. So there is a number of things I can see straight away from here. You probably can see some of the columns are light in color. That means that is based on our default working week, and anything grayed out is non-working time, so namely the weekends on this data set. However, I have an operation there set for a Saturday. It, I will That is because I have resource specific calendars that I can set. That will allow you to, let's say, allow expediting something onto a overtime workload to bring down to that work to-do list. It can be that you are dispatching on a Wednesday, so you want everything to be packed on a Tuesday. So, and that will then allow you to update your works orders to match that requirement. And the MRP takes that into account too. From here, if I start tracking and dropping this particular operation, you can see this a little bit blue. I can change time within the day when this will be completed, or I can pass it to a following Saturday. If I would do that, what it will cause is to move my top level assembly as well to be pushed forward, because there is a sub-assembly to that. And now it turned yellow because it is in within the risk area, so safety lead times and such like that come into play. I also have something going on in for subcontractor. So we have subcontract type of operations. We're different coloring them differently, so you can schedule them to be dispatched again on the same day, getting possibly better price breaks and such like. And also, you can see the operations don't have to be back to back like they do in a standard sales manufacturing. And if I would bring this back onto a more convenient time, I can see that according to the due date, it will be closer to the time. And this is just to work on the works orders and operations. We have resources on the below here as well, whereby you can see it's colored red because I only have one available resource for that. But managing it from here, it can be a bit tricky. So what I would do is to go, if you're managing your shop floor by a resource, by employees, by machines, I'm doing it by machines at the moment. So if I go to today, I can see I have over here, it will tell me how many of these resources I have available for me or at my disposal. So I have 20 on the top, I have one here, and it will give you my loading level for those particular items and what is contributing to that percentage of my loading. I can go from here, and if I take in this, for instance, this is a set plan. I cannot move this operation. You can see there's a little lock there, but I have some others here. So I could actually move this over to another resource whereby my loading, if you monitor the loading here on the bottom, is changing according to how much time I have available within those resources. And furthermore, from here, I have my assembly machines. So I can move them between the group, but I would not be able to move that onto my CNC machine, for instance, because they're doing a completely different job. So I'm not allowed to do that within the scheduler. And when we're talking about the CNC machines, we can see I have my weekly maintenance over there. And what it does here is giving me an overview what is happening. So I have for this time bucket, it's fully loaded with the maintenance and how much of that has been contributed to that particular machine. This could be used for anything really, downtime, sickness, holidays, or regular scheduled maintenance. And that just gives you an overview of everything that is happening within your resources. Or if I go back onto the works orders, if I click on this one, so we get back onto the screen, so you can monitor everything on the operational level, whichever way you prefer. You can also use quick search functionality, filtering the any field on the scheduler, but I could have anything that is needing anything purged. That gives me tables, chairs, and dining sets, and it gives me bundles them in for me for easier scheduling. That can be filtered by a warehouse, for instance, as well. And then you upload it, and it will update the works orders accordingly, including the resources. And whilst you're scheduling, you can also lock the MRP from the scheduler in itself, so the MRP cannot be run whilst you are doing your scheduling until you have updated everything. Okay. So that is a very high level summary of the functionality within the scheduler in itself. So if I jump back onto my slides, we now have a couple of minutes. If you have any questions or if you have any feedback, that's more than welcome. So please let me know if you have any questions.